Hey everybody, it's Bob. Welcome back to Let's Talk. Thanks for joining us. Today, I want to talk about AI, artificial intelligence. Come on, let's talk. Everybody, welcome back to the podcast. I really wanted to talk, Katie, today about AI and quantum, but I just think there's so much in that space. I don't, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, yeah, out there, quantum computing, it's something we'll talk about later. But I think we just stick to AI today.
Yeah, I think that will give us enough to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, if people are unfamiliar or haven't heard the term artificial intelligence, they've got to be living in a under a rock someplace. But in case they haven't, it's one of the things that I think are going to eclipse our world as we know it. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think at one point, and even probably for the majority of people out there, it's this big, abstract, futuristic term, but it's here. It's impacting our jobs. It's impacting our healthcare. It's impacting the way we learn.
Yeah.
With every new technology, right? There's good and bad applications of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm a pessimist on AI around some things because I just think bad guys are going to get a hold of it and use it for bad things. But I think you're right. I think there's good stuff and there's bad stuff, and we can talk about a little bit each way. I just think that AI is going to fundamentally just change our world. I mean, there's just give you an example. The other day, I was thinking about getting like headshots again, because you're updating, different platforms and going out on different things for video and all this PR stuff, which way more than I do. But I tried one of those AI headshot things the other day, and I swear to God, I'm not going to name the company.
Did it work?
Oh my God. I go on this, website, and it's like for 40, $50. I literally take 4 or 5 pictures of my face in a t-shirt. 30 minutes later, I got 200 pictures in every kind of but none of my outfits, every kind of outfit in the world. 30 minutes. And by the way, it probably took them 2 minutes. They probably sent it to me in 30 minutes because they wanted to make it you believe that you're getting your $40 worth. And it actually looked like me.
In your position?
Yeah. I mean, and so I mean, what's that going to be 3 years from now? And when I say that, I'll give you another example. I've written a bunch of books. I took one of my books, I think it was Scaling Smart or something the other day, and that book just came out like, I don't know, a few days ago. And I did some, and by the way, I'm trying different, like just AI things from different
Right.
circuits, because there's a million of them out there, as you know. I mean, you can get them to do anything. And I literally typed in something like, what's the top 10 themes in Scaling Smart by Robert Anderson? I swear, in like 10 seconds, it gives me quotes out of my book.
Mhm.
I mean, we've talked about the universe on this podcast, how big it is. Think of the universe of things that AI is pulling from
Mhm.
in seconds.
Mhm.
And by the way, it was right. I mean, I wrote the book, so I know.
Mhm.
And it just blew me away.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're just in the infancy of this stuff. And so when I think about this, it doesn't matter if it's government, private sector. I don't care if you're just, Joe Blow living in a house in the middle of Iowa. It doesn't matter. I just think this is going to eclipse our world.
Yeah.
And, we're not going to talk about it today, but when you couple quantum computing with that, which just makes all these computers that you and I are looking at and anybody else is out there using nowadays irrelevant.
Mhm.
Um, I just don't know where it's going to go. You know what I mean?
I g and part of it I feel like is a little bit unimaginable, but, where AI, I think, is gonna give you, like, an automated response. I think quantum is gonna change the entire way we solve problems.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I mean, I can't imagine you hit it on earlier, but I mean, with AI and healthcare and all the advances, I mean, hope to God we find cures for cancer and everything else
Yeah.
out there, and maybe will because it'll move quicker and faster. But I just think also, there's going to be efficiencies that are found in that. That honestly, I think people's jobs are just going to go away. I mean, I was sitting in San Francisco the other day, and I'm sitting in the back of a car, in an Uber,
Yeah.
and I'm going to a speech, and I look over, and there's a car sitting next to me with 2 people in the back. Nobody's driving; it's just driving itself.
Yeah.
And by the way, no one's looking at this like it's weird, right? Like it's just. And by the way, I started to notice more and more of these cars. Like there wasn't one or two; there's a whole bunch of them out there. And you start thinking, well, when AI really takes off, I mean, do we need an Uber driver? Do we need
Mhm.
bus drivers? Do we need a guy who drives the train? Like, do we these oil tankers that come back and forth across? Why does anybody drive that? Why isn't that done with a computer? Like, I don't know. I mean, the sky's the limit, but I also think there's sides of this that I mean, economically, business related, cost related.
Sure.
Um,
I have 2 kids getting ready to go into the workforce, the next 5 years. I have no idea what that's gonna look like because I think this is changing so rapidly.
I think the whole increase in efficiency and automation and everything that AI is great, but I think we need to be realistic on what that's going to do to the overall job platform. Like I just saw a thing the other night, Microsoft's laying off more people. Why? They said their jobs are going to be replaced by AI. And by the way, they're not unique. There's companies already announcing this all over the United States because AI is taking the role of those employees. And I think that's something that it affects a lot of us in a lot of different ways, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look, I like to be a glass half full type of person. I do think there's going to be changes into our workforce. I think there's been periods of over, the history of this country where there's been innovation and disruption and things have changed. So I don't want to be afraid of that. I do think it will. Hopefully there's better things. Hopefully AI helps us find, irregularities in the assembly line that can make safety better and
Sure.
so those employees are working in a
Yeah.
safer environment. Maybe there's areas where we don't have the labor workforce to do certain things, and automation or AI can help address that, and we can be doing more of that, onshore. So I think there's pros and cons to all of
Yeah,
it.
I agree. I'm not necessarily looking at it bad. I'm just looking at
Yeah,
reality.
yeah,
Like, I'm
it's
not
going to
saying
change.
it's going to change. I mean, look at education. Honest to goodness, and I'm not an expert in education. I don't even know why you're going to have universities in 10 years. Like, most of the people that I know, and you said earlier, you have children who's going to college. Most of the people that I know that have kids in college right now, a lot of their classes they take, they may be sitting in a university, but it's virtual.
Mhm.
They're not going to a class, even though they're sitting there getting the university experience and all that.
I haven't seen the cost savings return on that
Well,
environment yet.
you want the cost savings is going to university, and I think the money they're making and the margin they're making, that's just the business side of me must be
Yeah,
crazy
yeah.
because
But I do
I
think that's a
mean,
good point. I mean, I
you
think
know,
education is becoming more accessible. There's more competition in there. There's more online classes where,
yeah,
you don't have to be in a university setting,
yeah.
to do that. I think even whether it's in a university setting or even in a business setting, you see, these bots, you don't even know. It looks like a human person giving this training, but I can update that training with AI and not have to re-record the whole thing. I can make a small
Mhm.
edit to a content application, and it's less intensive, it's more current. So there's interesting innovations in that space. I do think you miss out though on being with people that have real world experience, that are in the classroom, that are sharing and networking and giving you that
No,
education.
I mean, I agree. There's a people side of this that's not going to go away.
Mhm.
It might not be staffed as much as it was before, but I do think it opens up all other avenues. I read an article the other day, like the iPhone. If you talk to the manufacturers of iPhone, they're planning for this phone to be around for the next 10 years. If you talk to Google, if you talk to Bill Gates, if you talk to a lot of these other people, they're out there saying the phone's irrelevant in a year. Between people are manufacturing glasses that basically have a heads up display that all this can be on, actually
It's
talking
already in
about
our cars.
actually talking about uh, tattoos that you put on your arm that
Mm.
is enables everything that an iPhone can do. Like my point is, and again, this stuff has just started.
Yeah.
Like pretty soon it'll be a context lens you put in your eye and you can read all the stuff that you would have read in an email. And, in the old days, some people won't know what I'm talking about, but like the Jetsons flying around in these
Yeah.
flying cars and stuff, I don't think people ever thought that would be real. You know, I saw the other day because I have an aviation background and I constantly watch this. There's 20 some companies that are right on the cusp of getting drone certified that can fly 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 autonomously. So you get on your phone a year from now and you're looking to get into some type of rideshare program and a drone lands
Mhm.
and there ain't nobody in it. And you just get in it and it takes you to wherever you say you're going to go and it drops you off. I mean, I think it's one of the biggest changes that we're going to see, not just in our lifetime, but on how the whole chart of human existence. I think it's going through the roof on this, and I think AI will help itself become better AI because that's what it does. And I just think it's an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I think healthcare is one of the areas that I think is gonna be phenomenal. If we
Yeah,
can have just vast amounts of historical data on patients,
yeah,
on these diseases, can AI help us, dig through that data and find um, more effective drugs that can come to market faster, that can help people,
yeah.
Can I
I agree.
personalize the care than the treatment that we're giving someone based on, their history?
What do you think? I mean, on the bad side of it, what do you think about job displacement?
I think it's a significant concern. I do think that there is an optimism on how this can help. How can it enable my job to be better? How
Yeah.
can I, get rid of some of these low-lying tasks? But it's going to constantly be innovating and turning. Are there safety benefits? Are there efficiencies? Can I be doing more with less? That type of environment.
I think that, and I think you got to worry about, especially on the platforms of that, on a negative side, is the discriminatory nature of AI depending on how it learns.
Hmm.
So if it learns a certain way and that's not the right way, because of rules, regulations, or laws that we have, I think there's got to be checks and balances on that. I think the one thing that really concerns me, especially when we're talking about like military, really classified labs, like the smartest academics institutions that have, kind of walled off areas where, great things are being discovered, is AI and deepfake videos, AI and voice generated fake videos. You already see it popping up sort of around the country. But I think with the advent of AI, and I saw it, I told you with these pictures, like you're not going to be able to tell that's not Bob on that video screen. Like it's going to look like Bob. It's going
Yeah.
to act like Bob. You're going to ask that thing a question and it's going to respond like Bob, and that's the part, when you really look at like, remember HAL 2000, the Space Odyssey, when the
Mhm.
guys are in the space station and Hal's angry, everybody would think, that's never going to happen. But now I think with deepfake videos and voice augmentation and the advent of I think that's a problem. And I think it's something, again, I don't hear anybody talking about this. And I'm not trying to, like, again, I don't think AI is going to take over the world or anything like that. I do think there's some issues if we talk about autonomous weapon systems and everything. But what do you think on those things? Because I think that's a thing that's very real. And I don't think this is 10 years from now.
Yeah.
I think this is like 6 months from now because the pace of this is going to go through because now you have computers teaching computers. It's not like you and me teaching the computer, which
Right.
takes time,
Yeah.
and I think that's one of the biggest things, especially when you're looking at private sector government and you're looking at, hey, what do we need to be thinking about? Good, bad, and different economy. I think that's something that, merits talking about.
Yeah, it reminds me of, I can't remember if it 1980s movie, like War Games, where the computer,
Oh, yeah.
starts taking over.
Yeah.
And it's on the, preface of a nuclear war that could, come out. I think the deep fakes, I think that's a real concern. I think we've
Mhm.
seen some of it even with cyber, where you can, have something happen in a cyber or even like a digital environment that has a physical consequence, and
Mhm.
so I think it's going to be hard to distinguish those. Going back to workforce for a second, I do think this is one of those evolving areas, whether it's considered a threat or not, it's a change that people need to educate themselves on. Like the C-suite needs to like really understand this. It's going to be a cost or efficiency on their financial statements. Where are you investing as a company? How do I know this? How do I know this beyond chat GPT? Like
Yeah,
we're
no
talking
kidding.
about, and where can, we enter in predictive AI that can really help us, bring some of these innovations forward. And then you have a workforce that needs to get trained on it. And, how does that get
Yeah,
applied?
but again, how do you do that? Because that's all cost to
Mhm.
people and stuff, and and who trains them,
Mhm.
and why do they train them? And I think from the security risk mitigation standpoint or malicious user standpoint, it just rips things wide open. I
Mhm.
mean, because
And there's no
just
how-to on it yet. This is the
no.
way to do it and what the result you're gonna have.
No, and again, from the security risk standpoint, the bad guys aren't going to care if they screw something up or they
Yeah.
destroy something while they're getting in. And using aggressive tactics with AIs in the malicious side, I think, is going to catch a lot of people off guard because I just don't think. I mean, I see companies now; they're not looking at the current threats, let alone looking at when this thing goes 100 miles an hour in a few months from now, and these things take off. And I just think one of the things that I don't think we're doing enough of having talks about, it's not if we're getting AI anymore. It's not if AI is going to generate AI. And eventually, I don't know when this will happen, you know, that AI starts correcting and building itself so quickly that if you don't have another set of AI building itself to counter whatever this AI comes up with, I don't know how you stay ahead of the threat. And because now it's machines against machines. And I just don't hear the conversation as
Mm.
much. In certain parts of cyber and risk mitigation, on the West Coast, it's, really trying to be progressive. I hear it. I just don't hear it enough across our country, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, there's always a good use case for it and a bad use case. So where it finds efficiencies and cost savings and gets you to where you want to be faster, it can be used in the same way by the
Yeah.
bad guys.
No, I agree. And if you Google what's on the mind of most boards, companies, governments right now, there's like three things. It's like cyber, it's like AI, and it's like quantum.
Mm.
That's it.
Mhm.
There's no other things that pop up because when they pop up, those things are so hard and they're so complicated and so fast anymore. That's all they're focused on. And when you break them into different little pieces, it gets crazy because there's so many different parts of those things that I think become very complicated very quickly, and it impacts, like I said, countries not just through malicious attacks, but the economy, businesses, jobs, and things like that. I think it's a good conversation to talk about. I'm glad we talked about it today, and I think other people need to be picking up this conversation and talking about it.
I think there's lots of, second and third order effects to this. Do we have the energy and infrastructure to support this as it really takes off within the country?
Oh no, I agree, and I think there'll be much more to talk about in coming episodes. So, hey, thanks for coming back to Let's Talk. Please join us again. Until we talk again, peace. Love each other. We need it.